This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dream Power Show. I'm your host, certified dream life coach, Debbie Spector-Weissman. This is the show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to create a life you love. And as you know, I am here to help you understand your dreams. So if you've got a dream that's got you stumped, email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com. I can help you interpret your dream or even answer any questions you might have generally about dreams. So again, you can email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com. Well, today's show is going to be all about our daytime dreams. And as you know, I'm passionate about giving you ways to help you live your dream life through your daytime activities. Sadly, though, something I found in my practice as a coach is that a lot of older people, in particular older women, feel that their dreaming days are over when they reach a certain age. Once they've reached retirement or become empty nesters, they feel that they're too old to dream and tend to live their lives vicariously through their children or their grandchildren. Well, my guest today has a very different take on life over 50. Rebecca Olkowski believes that every woman deserves to achieve her full potential and to live her purpose in life. And she helps women do this through her website, babyboomster.com. And she's going to tell us all about it now. So welcome to Dream Power Show, Rebecca.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is babyboomster.com and why did you start it?
Well, babyboomster.com is a blog for women over 50, and it's for people who really like to have fun in life. So I write about travel because that's one of my big passions in life. And it's also a lifestyle blog. So I write about all kinds of things like beauty and fashion and entertainment and wellness, because of course we all want to live as long as possible in the best way possible. So that's always been very popular on the blog. And just whatever comes into my head. And the reason I started it, well, I've worked in Hollywood as an actor for over 35 years doing voiceovers. So if you notice that my voice kind of sounds a little bit on the young side, it's because I specialize in little kid voices. But actable professions, and so I never saved up a huge retirement income, like you would have if you had a 9-to-5 job. So I've always had to reinvent myself in some way. And I did all kinds of different things in addition to voice acting, like selling makeup for about 10 years. I did pretty well in that. And I was a president of a networking organization in Los Angeles. And then I discovered blogging, and I realized that it was something that I could do that was very creative. And, you could pretty much say whatever you want and not have to, you don't have a boss. And you can do it from anywhere on the planet that you happen to be. So if you like to travel, you can just write it from, some beach in Bali, if you wanted to, if I could ever get there. And then the way that I monetize it is I connect with different brands that I, like. So it might be, a fashion brand or a wellness brand or something like that. And sometimes I'll write a post about their product, or I'll put links on my website that would lead to their websites. And then, if somebody happened to click on it and purchase something, then I make a little bit of money doing that. And so I've just found it to be really, well, not only creative, but it's also been a great way to connect with other people all over the world. And, it's all about reinvention. And that's one thing that I've found that a lot of people in that age group are doing right now, especially women, because we tend to outlive our spouses, which I've already done once. So I know what that's like.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Why is it important for older women to reinvent themselves?
Well, like I said, I mean, I think that, not only like because of financial reasons and the fact that you do tend to outlive your spouse, I think that being older is a great time to be able to rediscover yourself, because your kids are out of the house for the most part. Maybe some have some that are still there, but mine luckily, became successful, and I haven't had to worry about it, which is great because I was a single mom for a little while. And then, and then, sometimes a lot of us, I think at this age, our parents are gone as well. So you have the opportunity to go out and just do the things that you really have always wanted to do. And I think it's really important to be able to do that. And like you said, I think, some people will just kind of like, they get into their little niche, and that's fine. I mean, if people feel comfortable just, with their grandkids and all that stuff. But I think that people in our generation, in the baby boomer generation, we kind of grew up with this idea that you could do more than just be a housewife like our mothers were. And, it just gives you the opportunity to do that. And then for some of us, like me, I mean, it's like something, I don't feel like I could ever retire just because of the profession that I was in before. So, I probably going to go till, 100 still working, even if I'm still blogging or whatever comes up. But you always have to be doing something. And I think doing something also keeps you alive, and it keeps you more vital and aware of what's happening in the world. And, you just don't kind of crawl into a hole and wait for yourself to get sick and die.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. In fact, my mother was a great example of this. I mean, she was a woman who, in all the years I knew her, she never exercised a day in her life. But she, got older, moved down to Florida, and lived in a place with a swimming pool. And she got into exercising in the pool, doing aqua aerobics. And every day from the time she got there, and she was like around 70, to 6 months before she died at age 96, she would go in the pool at 7:30 every morning and lead a 45-minute class in doing aqua aerobics. And I tell you, I went down there, and it was not easy. It was, especially when you talk about doing exercises for older people. It was a good workout, and I totally believe that that's what kept her going all those years, and how she was able to live to be 96. By finding that in her life,
Oh,
even at a later age.
I agree. Yeah, I did that. I tried that. I was taking an aqua aerobics class actually for a while. And there were women in the pool that were, almost 100 years old, and they were just splashing around and having a really good time. And it's great exercise. I have a little trouble with the chlorine for some reason. If the pool has got too much chlorine in it, it just kind of goes right into my lungs. Which is funny because I grew up with a pool, being a Valley girl.
Right. Well, what I love about your website is that there are so many different areas to look at. So, like you say, you're into travel, you do one thing. If you're into exercise, you can do everything. So was that deliberate on your part to have so many different areas in there?
Well, a lot of times they suggest that you have one niche, but I really found that I would love it if I could be out there traveling, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It would be great. My dog wouldn't like it, but, or both my dogs. But, you can't always travel. So then what I do is I'll travel around Los Angeles, which is a huge world in itself. And I found that when I'm not traveling, I mean, there's so many issues that come up for baby boomer women that people want to know about. So it's more lifestyle, I guess you would call it a lifestyle blog, which would encompass the things that I like to write about. I don't write so much about financial things, or not very good at it. But I do have, sometimes I will have guest posters that will write about it that are more experts in that area. So that's always exciting too, to get input from other people and expert advice that would help other people in that age group.
Right.
You know, and it is all about mostly.
Mm-hmm. You know, I love the line that you have in your website. We're not ready for rocking chairs, but we're ready to rock. And I love that. And I think kind of to have that spirit is another way to keep yourself feeling young. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I know when I think back of, and my mom lived to be 89 and my dad lived to be 90, but you know, she kind of got into her own little hole. She wasn't really doing very much. We had to kind of force her to go into an adult daycare where she actually found that she had a really good time. But when I think back at her at the same age that I am right now, to me it seems different. I guess that's like that with any child thinking about parent. I'm sure my daughter thinks I'm old too, but but yeah, I mean, she just seemed to be older at my age than I feel like I am right now. I don't feel 65
Yeah,
at all.
I think that's true, like totally generationally. I can remember when I first started out, one of my first jobs, and I was in publishing, and we would get, you know, letters from people, you know, the readers, and we got a picture from this woman, had a picture of her and her husband, and, you know, they looked very happy and everything. And she was like 40 years old, and to me, she looked 80. She had, you know, she had gray hair and lots of wrinkles and just looked really, really old, you know. And again, you know, I'll look back at, you know, pictures of my mother at my age, you know, I'm 65, and, you know, she was not a bad looking 65-year-old, but then I look at pictures of my grandmother at 65, you know, who looked, you know, 165. So, you know, and I think it's just, you know, all those great things they do for us these days, you know, all those great lotions and creams and the whole idea of eating better and exercising more. I think that's got a lot to do with it also. And
Oh yeah, I think we're really thinking more about it because we do want to be active a lot longer. And so we think about things that will add to our longevity. And I think that once you can get off of junk food, which we did grow up with, you know, frosted flakes or whatever, you know, and you change around your diet a little bit. I mean, I'm still working on that. You know, one of the things I do talk about is the fact that you do tend to gain weight as you get older. That's always a big problem, especially if you're an emotional eater. But totally working on that. Yeah, I think it's neat if you're working on something. You got to be working on something. You can't just like be passive and just let life pass you by when you get older, I think.
you know, and it's one of the things that I advocate all the time is that you have to believe you have a purpose in life, and it can be anything, you know, you know, it could be as simple as, you know, wanting to sit home and read all day long. If that's your purpose and you love it, that's fantastic. If your purpose is, you know, to, you know, go out and work, that's it. And if your purpose is to exercise all day, that's fine. Whatever it is fine, as long as it is something that makes you feel valuable, whatever it is. And I think one of the problems I find is that so many people don't even take the time to think about that. They just sort of, you know, like I say, instead of, you know, living life, you know, have life live them, and don't take that time. I think that's one of the things I like about your website is that you give people, like if they can't think of it on themselves, you give them all kinds of suggestions about this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that happens to a lot of people as they get older is they, you know, if they don't have a purpose, then they start to become depressed. And that's when it gets really dangerous. That's when you start losing your health. And, you know, a lot of things happen. You might abuse substances, or which is a big thing with baby boomers because they did grow up in a drug culture
Right.
that kind of became normal. But yeah, I mean, if you do have a purpose in life, it keeps you going, it keeps you healthier, and it keeps you more emotionally balanced.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things is that nature abhors a vacuum. So if you all of a sudden like find yourself retired and you haven't made plans or anything, and what do? Well, nature might tell you, I'm going to go get sick because then I can spend all my time going to the doctor. And that'll give me something to do. That's my purpose. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of people. They just end up spending their days going from doctor to doctor to doctor because there is nothing else going on in their life. So that's
Yeah,
why.
I mean, I wouldn't say that was the exact cause of it, because obviously there are people that are really busy and they do get sick.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't help at all, and I think it does cause you to do things maybe to yourself that would cause you to get sick.
Yes, I do believe that. Okay, well, we're going to take a short break now. We'll be right back. We are talking with lifestyle expert Rebecca Olkowski on the Dream Power Show. We'll be right back. Want to know more about remembering your dreams and what they mean? Want practical tools to help you really live the life of your dreams? I'm Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. For powerful wisdom you can use, sign up for my newsletter today at dreampowerradio.com. It's free.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, and welcome back to the Dream Power Show. I'm your host, certified dream life coach, Debbie Spector-Weissman. And we're talking with Rebecca Olkowski about life after 50. And one of the things you said was that you love to travel. So how has your website given you avenues of being able to do this?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I have gone on some trips to Europe in the past, and so it gave me something to write about, obviously. But like I said, sometimes one thing that happens when you write a blog is it attracts other people to your website that may want you to promote something. So I've been invited to various events, sometimes a lot of foodie events in Los Angeles. I did something for Pala Casino where they invited me down to check out their resort, which was a lot of fun. And that's something I'd like to get more into. So if I can send out the vibes out there that to bring those people to my website. if you want to send me on a trip, I'm always willing to go.
Oh, I'll go with you. That'd be great. So what's been your favorite place to travel?
I love going to Europe. There's still so many places in Europe I'd love to go to. One of the places that I loved was Spain, and I've been to Spain a couple of times. That was the first place I went in Europe, but I just think it's an amazing place. People are really laid back. The food is amazing. You can walk down the street and walk into a little cathedral, like a tiny little cathedral will be amazing and have, this amazing artwork in it that you couldn't even imagine. And we also spent time in Italy. I love to cruise. I like river cruises in particular. We took a river cruise from Budapest to Prague. And what I like about those is that they're smaller ships. So there's probably about 150 people on it. It's very smooth because you're on a river instead of the ocean. And you get to stop in all these tiny little places that a cruise ship can't go to. So they're just incredible. I would go on a river cruise any day.
Mm.
And I like a regular cruise also.
Yeah. I see. You say you've started traveling more with your daughter. Do you think it's important for women to have someone to go along on these things with, or can they do this by themselves?
I would love to go do more traveling myself. I love that because you can, you're pretty much on your own time frame. You're not you don't have to worry about what somebody else wants to do, so you can spend more time in little places. You're not in a hurry so much. That's one thing that, the only problem I think with going on cruises, whoops, I'm sorry. I thought I turned that off. With going on cruises, and I love cruises. I love the excursions you go on, but you're there for a couple of hours and then you have to get back onto the boat and go off to the next place. Whereas if you're on your own and you can just spend hours, and if you wanted to be in a museum or if you wanted to talk to the locals, which I think is always a good thing. And, it gives you more flexibility, I think, traveling alone. But I love traveling with my daughter too. I think it's a great way to bond, and she loves to travel as well. And sometimes, and she's actually pretty successful, so sometimes she takes me on trips, which is really great. I love what she does.
Always a nice thing. So have you gotten any feedback from your readers on things that you have suggested that have made a difference in their lives?
I get comments. I think I've helped people in a lot of ways, especially in the health section. I've been able to do some interviews with different people that have various issues going on with them. So sometimes they'll give us suggestions on better treatments and things like that. I think I just kind of go by my comment section of how I'm helping people. And I'm hoping I'm helping a lot more people than I hear from, really. I think some people, I think especially in our age group, feel a little bit shy about leaving comments and things, but I do get quite a few. So, I'm trying to think of something specific. People, like, I'll suggest people take walking tours in their neighborhoods. That's something that I've been doing lately, is signing up for walking tours. Of course, Los Angeles has so many different places that you can go to, but sometimes it's just your neighborhood that's really exciting. Well, there's so many little things that you're missing.
Right, and sometimes if you don't think about walking, there's so many things you'll miss out on. I mean, back when I was in Los Angeles and just walking around the neighborhood, I discovered this little house, maybe about a half mile from my house, where they had a whole menagerie of animals in the front yard. They had goats, they had some llamas and chickens and bunnies and the whole thing. And you think, it's suburbia, you're not supposed to see this here. But yeah, and it was lovely, just because it's one of those unexpected surprises to come on. And yeah, and it's those kinds of things are things that really just make your day. And if you don't take the time, you lose out on it. So I have a question. What advice would you have for women who wake up one day with that thought, oh my God, I'm old, I'm not a kid anymore? What would you say to them?
I guess embrace it, because I think there's a lot of advantages of being older too. You've got a lot more world wisdom, but find a way to use it, even if it's just volunteering somewhere, which is always a great thing to do. If you're just kind of feeling like you're not doing anything and you can't think of what you'd like to do, and you're the type of person that likes to help other people, then find some kind of volunteer group, find a networking group, find a meetup group, something where you're connecting. I think the biggest thing with getting older is losing the connection with other people, because that's one of the key longevity tips, is that most people that live a long time and live really, they live lives that are living it well, they're is when they're connected to other people and staying social. And that's one thing that I found, actually, that I have to work on, because sometimes when you work online, you're connecting with a lot of people, you say on Facebook and stuff, but not so much in real life, which you have to do, and it makes a huge difference. So get together with your girlfriends, If that's always a good thing, because they're usually you can find people that are supportive of each other too. Find a support group somewhere, and don't think of yourself as being old. Just think of yourself as being vintage, and then that's a good thing.
I love that. No, and it's true. Languaging actually is so important too. To rephrase things instead of, like you said, instead of saying old, saying vintage, or saying, I'm not old, I'm wise. Something else that is. Yeah, it's going to be more empowering word than saying old. Nobody likes old.
Yeah, right. And be yourself too, because one thing I've noticed on Instagram, I've got an Instagram account at Baby Boomster, but there's a lot of women on there over 50 that are just like killing it on Instagram, and they're a lot of them have gray hair, and that's a signature look. Like there's a lady called the Accidental Icon who is a professor, and she just dresses in all these crazy clothes, and just it's fun, just have a little fun with it. We were always kind of a generation of being creative with the way that we dressed, I think, and just you don't have to be perfect. You can just be yourself, and that just makes life a lot more fun, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, you've said that you've been a voiceover actor specializing in kids' voices. Can you give us a little taste of that?
The funny thing is that almost always they use my voice just the way it is, because I sound like a little kid. Like I could, if somebody called on the phone, which I don't get so much anymore, but I can say, my mommy's busy right now. So I can get I used to be able to get a salesman off the phone that way. But yeah, I do mostly little girl voices. And so I don't do a lot of really crazy sounding voices. I just do more of a real kid more than a cartoon kid. And I've actually been able to go in and replace real children's voices. Say if they did a movie and they shot it in the South and the kid had a really heavy Southern accent and he wasn't supposed to, then I could actually go in and replace the kid's voice, which they would get pretty pissed off about, but I did.
I know.
And I didn't have to be potty. I didn't need a studio teacher.
Right. That's business. Do you ever find yourself going to your inner child for inspiration or reinvigoration?
Yeah, well, I think that's one thing about me, maybe because I have a kid voice, that I've just sort of stayed, that I still kind of have this feeling of being a kid all the time. Like I don't feel like I'm not, I guess, as sophisticated as some other people maybe in some ways, or even the way I speak. But yeah, I think it's always there. I think that keeps you young, is finding that inner child within. Yeah, I mean, I know people that are really old. I sat with an actor, Norman Lloyd. I don't know if you know him, but
Oh, yes.
I sat with him at 2 parties, and he's 104. And this guy, I swear, he can carry on a incredible conversation. He's, he quit playing tennis at 99. He's just, he just, and he stays really busy. He's still working. I mean, can you imagine? He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. So we're reaching the end of the program. So tell us again the name of the website and how we can get in touch with you.
My website is called Baby Boomster. Boomster is sort of like, some people ask me what that means. A boomster is kind of more of a hip urban baby boomer. And I figured because I lived in Los Angeles and was in the film business, that sort of fit. So it's babyboomster.com, and most of my social media is under Baby Boomster, except for Twitter, which is baby_boomster, because somebody took Baby Boomster and wouldn't give it to me no matter how much I tried to bribe her.
Oh, well. Well, Rebecca, yeah, thank you so much for being on the Dream Power Show today. We've been speaking with Rebecca Olkowski about life after 50. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weisman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio. with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.